Hey everyone, welcome to today's webinar. We're very happy to have you join us. My name is Josh Cronister. I'm the product marketing manager here at AudioCodes. I'll be kicking us off today. Just a couple housekeeping items before we start. The session is recorded. The recording and the slides will be provided to you after the webinar as well. We also have the Q&A function open, where you're welcome to fire away any questions that you have for myself, Gidi, or John, the presenters today. We hope to answer them in today's session, but want to be respectful of your time. So if we don't get to them, we'll provide answers to those questions in a follow-up email. And these questions will also be included with the recording and the slides as well. So, okay, the reason you're here today, creating a one-screen AI-first contact center experience using Microsoft Teams Power Model. We've had an overwhelming interest in this topic recently. We think that's evident of yourself, as well as the 1,200 others who have registered to hear more about it. So I'd like to introduce you to our speakers today. First, Gidi Adlersberg, joining us from Tel Aviv, Israel. Gidi is the Voca Conversational Interaction Center business line manager here at AudioCodes. And also with us is John Wesselman, joining from the great state of Kentucky. John is one of the contact center subject matter experts focused on North America here at AudioCodes. So with that, I'll pass it over to Gidi to get us started.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Josh, and hi, everyone. Very excited to be doing this today. And, obviously we are here to talk about the coupling between CC and UC, and namely a CCAS on top of Microsoft Teams. And, I spent some time thinking how I can kick us off here with this session. And one thought that, came up to my mind, and I thought it's worth sharing in this context, is to do with cameras, standalone cameras. Remember those? We all used to have one. I thought to myself, thank God, the vast majority, if not everybody here in the audience, are young enough to remember the days where we carried camera as a standalone device. And it was good times, right? I mean, we used the camera primarily when we were traveling. Sometimes we would take it, to that, let's call it extra special family event. And we used it when we needed it, right? Now, let me ask you this. What happened to photo taking ever since the camera made its way to our smartphones? All of a sudden, the camera is with us all the time. And, I bet everybody here have, hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of photos on their smartphones. And it's not just the sheer quantity of, more photos being taken. It's also the new types of photos that we're taking now when we have the camera, built into the smartphone that is with us all day long. We're finding ourselves, taking photos that we did not take before, back in the days of a standalone camera. And, when we think about it, this all happens for two key reasons. Reason number one, a camera on a smartphone is just very easy to use. And number two, it's with us everywhere we go. And this is exactly what's happening to a contact center when you couple it to a UC like Microsoft Teams. All of a sudden, every Teams user has access to these, wonderful contact center capabilities. And we find that those users are using contact center capabilities in ways that have not been used before in the form of a separate contact center from the UC. So this is what this session is all about. It's about talking about the power and the impact of coupling a contact center solution with Microsoft Teams. And I think with this intro, we can get started. So I always like to start with, giving some fresh numbers from the market. This is a chart from Piper Sandler, one of the more popular investment banks in the United States. And these are actually pretty fresh numbers, you can see, just from a few weeks ago. So clearly, I bet it's no surprise to you, we're seeing the continuous decline of on-prem contact center solutions. And the rise of cloud contact center, or as in short, CCaaS, with a very healthy growth rate of 24% each and every year. Today, this market is estimated at around $25 billion worldwide and growing 25% each and every year. But another thing that some of you probably already spotted in this chart is also the rise of virtual seats, right? And we can see this in the orange bar. We see that virtual seats, they started sometime even before COVID. And yeah, as we can see from Piper Sandler's projection, those are going to dramatically increase at a very rapid rate of 38% each and every year. Berkeley's released a similar report, similar topic, but looking at it from a bit of a different angle. So this is an illustration of a 100 people contact center today in 23 versus a 2032 projection. So we can definitely see, first of all, on-prem seats, which are here in the white, are dramatically decreasing to just a handful of on-prem seats. In 2032, we see that the vast majority of live agents are going to be cloud agents. The interesting thing is that we also see that 50% of the contact center of a typical contact center is going to be powered by AI. Now, what I like here is, this report shows the dramatic savings that all this entails, right? So we can see the average spend today in 23 on the cloud software plus labor of live agents. We come to about 253K per month, whereas fast forward to 2032, yes, we are spending much more on the software, but significantly less on labor, with an overall savings of almost 35% between the spend with AI compared to without AI. So definitely cloud is growing, but also AI is growing. And I thought it would be cool to, use the chance to show you a bit about it before we dive in. Now, obviously, a lot of you already know this. Cloud is increasing, AI is increasing, and we need to be out there, evaluate new solution, and gear up for the future. When Metrigy asked end customers and companies, what is your primary consideration for evaluating a new contact center solution? Well, obviously, cost is always going to be number one, right? That's always been the case, and especially within 2023. But we see that the second most popular reason for evaluating a new solution is that companies out there are looking to use a single integrated platform for UC and contact center. So a lot of people out there already understand the power of UC and CC, unified communications and contact center consolidation. Let's talk a bit about the impact that it makes on an organization. So here we see an illustration of the entire organization, and this is the life before the consolidation, okay? When we have essentially two separate islands, okay? One is a large island, which is for most of the company employees, and then another island for agents. So the employees are on PBX, the agents obviously use a contact center solution, and it's only the agents that have access to contact center capabilities, okay, like IVR, skill-based routing, call queuing, and so on. It's only the agents in the main service desk that have access to contact center capabilities before a UC and CC consolidation. The employees, the rest of the company, is pretty much stuck, right, on the PBX with some basic hunt groups. Yes, they can do a call transfer, and maybe they have a voicemail, but that's as far as it goes, right? Now, when we consolidate contact center with unified communications, the dramatic thing that happens is that all of a sudden, the entire company has access to contact center capabilities. The idea is that, when we have a contact center that rides a UC like Teams, we bring the contact center capabilities to every Teams user in the company. Okay, so all these contact center features, again, the IVR, the skill-based routing, the queuing, after our call handling, maybe an agent desktop that someone in HR or in IT would like to use, and of course reporting. All of that is available in all of a sudden to the entire company, basically allowing the Sika solution to empower customer experience, but also employee experience, and really spread the contact center capabilities across the entire organization. The idea, when we look at a company, typically we like to split it to those kind of 3 user groups or 3 tiers, if you will. So of course we have the main service desk agents, and these agents are, naturally using a contact center solution. But then we also have internal agents, right? We have people in IT help desk, in the HR desk, in sales, in the travel desk, a security team, people that also provide service during the day, maybe not as formally as a main service desk agent, but nevertheless provide service all day long and round the clock. And then we also have the back office experts, people that are deeper down deeper back in the company, people from product management or R&D that every now and then can also be involved in a service case. So really the idea here is we want to tie together these 3 user groups under a single service workflow. And this is possible when you have a contact center that rides that UCaaS infrastructure, in our case, Microsoft Teams. We wanted to give you a few examples to kind of inspire you on the impact. What can other internal business line in the company, how can they benefit from using a contact center technology? So we start with a classic, which is the IT help desk. So in the IT help desk, obviously an IT help desk in some enterprises, especially if you're, a few thousands of employees or more, the IT help desk can get quite big and quite busy. And people in, those users in IT help desk definitely can benefit from contact center capabilities. So things like skill-based routing to bring a call and a service case into the best matching expert in the IT help desk. The ability to queue up callers and, handle a call that's coming into the IT help desk after hours, be able to differentiate between an urgent case and a case that can wait to tomorrow morning. Of course, also automation of self-service scenarios, okay? So if I'm a user in the company and I just need to reset my password, maybe I don't necessarily need to waste an IT help desk agent time, right? Maybe the IT help desk can just shoot a text message for me with the link to reset my password. And of course, CRM, IT ticketing information that the IT person always needs when they handle a service inquiry. So a lot of contact center capabilities that IT help desk can kind of leverage to provide, better service for the users. And keeping things as professional and good level of service as possible. So that's the first example. The second example is the sales team. Now, in many organizations, sales teams are already using contact center, but in many cases they're not. In many cases, we have a sales team that still, relies on just the standard Teams or mobile devices and so on. And a sales team can also benefit dramatically from contact center capabilities. First and foremost, we can have an IVR that can segment the callers by the different reasons that they're calling for, right? So every region in a global company or in a multi-site company, every site can have its own, one number IVR that splits the callers between different product groups or different customer types and so on. And by doing that, we steer a call to the relevant people in the sales team. Of course, we can look at the CRM and look at for example, look at the caller ID, and based on the caller ID, route the call to the account manager that owns that account automatically. Maybe they don't even need an IVR because we know who they are and we can bring the call straight to the relevant salesperson. what happens when a call comes into the sales department after hours? Okay, maybe it's a VIP customer and probably we do not want to miss that call. We can definitely configure a contact center solution to do something very specific with a specific caller ID, potentially steering the call maybe to a sales team member mobile device, for example. And of course, the reporting and the analytics, okay? When salespeople are just using regular, Teams or mobile calls, we don't have any eyes on, the actual calls, right? Once they're making their calls through a contact center solution, all of a sudden we are able to see how many calls they're making, how long are these calls, these calls are, what is the trend between the amount of calls this month compared to the previous month, and so on. Very valuable analytics that we can get from sales calls. And again, all this can be enabled by the sales team leveraging a contact center or contact center capabilities. Then the last example we have for you is with what we like to call 24/7 departments or teams in the company. So here we are talking about the reception desk, a security team, a travel desk. Okay, definitely more niche departments, but actually very important departments, right? That need to provide service to callers round the clock. And these people can also benefit a lot from contact center capabilities. So for example, if we think about a conversational AI powered auto-attendant for the company that allows the caller to just say, who they're looking for, which department or which contact, and we have an auto-attendant that, listens to that and steers the call automatically. We have people that have shifts, right? That and with the contact center solution, we can know who is on call right now. So if a call comes in at 3 a.m., we are always able to steer the call to the specific person in the security team, for example, that is now on duty and steer that call to their mobile device, for example. So intelligent routing is also a big thing for 24/7 departments. Of course, also emergency calling, okay? If someone is calling the security team regarding some emergency, of course, with the contact center solution, we can prioritize that call, allow it to skip a queue or land on someone's mobile device, and make sure that emergency calls are being handled as quickly as possible. And lastly, of course, a centralized team voicemail. So if I left a message to the reception desk as a caller, or in the travel desk, for example, the entire travel desk or the entire reception desk are going to be able to see that someone left a voicemail, and we'll be able to take care of it. So these are just a few examples to show the impact that contact center capabilities can have on different internal business lines in the company. So now that we understand, hopefully we got some motivation to why it's worthwhile to couple a contact center solution with a unified communication platform, and in our case today, Microsoft Teams. Let's talk about how this is achieved. And some of you probably know that Microsoft has 3 models for an integration between a contact center solution to Microsoft Teams: the Connect, Extend, and the Power model. So we wanted to spend a few minutes going through these models. The Connect model is the oldest model that is out there. And the integration between the contact center and Teams in this case is achieved through a very simple SIP call transfer. Okay, so the idea is that we have a call that originates at the contact center side, delivered to a Teams user endpoint using a SIP call transfer. Sometimes Graph API will be leveraged for presence-based routing, but the main idea here is that the call media is actually handled by the third-party contact center provider. So we need to rely on the contact center provider to ensure things like media quality, security, encryption, and so on. Also, because the call data is coming from both the contact center and Microsoft Teams, we have multiple sources for the call data. there is what we call a gluing of data to understand what happened to a call from A to Z, okay? So we need to take some data from the contact center solution and another piece of data from Teams, and then we need to glue these together to learn what happened to a call from A to Z, and this gluing can result in some cases in some inaccuracies when it comes to the reporting of a call and what exactly happened with a specific call. The extend model is already much better news, okay? A much newer model than the connect model. And as we can see, this is from the Microsoft documentation. In the connect model, we are talking about a contact center solution that acts as a telephony carrier alongside Microsoft 365. So in the extend model, we are using Graph API to bring a call into the Microsoft ecosystem. So now the call media is handled completely by Microsoft. So it's Microsoft who needs to ensure the media quality, security, and encryption. Much better news for the contact center users. And also any reporting issue that we had in the connect model is now getting resolved because we now have a single source for the call data. So we're talking about a call that is really taking place in the Microsoft ecosystem. Kind of where limitations come into the play with the extend model are to do with two primary areas. One is the Graph API based topology of this model. So again, we're using Graph API to bring a call into Teams. And for those of you who are more technical, you know that any interaction with an API can result in a delayed API response. We also need, the vendor here needs to take care of synchronizing between many API requests to make sure that we have a steady, smooth operating service performance. Another area of maybe a limitation with the extend model is that you're building a contact center application for Teams, but for Teams only, okay? So if tomorrow morning a contact center vendor that used the extend model would like to make the same experience available, let's say for a web application or an iOS device, essentially they would need to build a new application from scratch and probably also add in additional capabilities and technologies in order to make this all happen. So I think Microsoft is hinting us on those limitations when they talk about a telephony carrier alongside Microsoft 365. I think alongside is the key word in this statement. When we talk about the power model, which is the newest model from Microsoft for a contact center to Microsoft Teams integration, we are not talking about a contact center that's living alongside Microsoft. We're talking about a native Azure-based voice application, okay? And this is, again, a statement from Microsoft. So in the power model, we are leveraging a set of APIs and SDKs from Azure Communication Services. And just like the extend model, the call is a true native, Microsoft Teams call. Again, it's Microsoft that is taking care of the media, quality, security, and encryption. And of course, all the call data is coming from a single source, which is the Microsoft ecosystem. Kind of where it gets interesting with the power model is with the SDK that is in the heart of our, of the custom application that you use in the power model. This SDK acts as kind of a natural extension to the user's Microsoft Teams client. So a direct interop between the custom contact center application into Microsoft Teams. And of course, also the ability to carry this application between different platforms. So Azure Communication Services makes sure that this SDK is made available for a mobile, for a desktop web environment, mobile web, iOS, Android, you name it. So if tomorrow morning a contact center vendor that used the power model would like to build an iOS application, they definitely do not start from scratch, and they can maintain the same experience across all these platforms, or the way that Microsoft calls it, a one app, one screen experience for the agents. Now, probably some of you are telling yourself, wait a second, the power model is not officially announced by Microsoft yet. And you're right. It's being the newest, most modern technology stack for Teams and contact center integration. The power model is indeed not officially announced yet. The good news for us is that we are already there, leveraging those APIs and SDKs that make up this model. And we believe that this model will be officially announced soon with its final criteria. So now that we understand the different models and how can we integrate a contact center solution into Teams, I think it's time to show you what we got going on with our own CCaaS offering for Teams, which is the Voca Conversational Interaction Center. The story for us with Voca really starts from Teams and the limited functionality in Teams when it comes to Teams Auto-Attendants and Teams call queues that are typically not enough for the vast majority of customers. The thing is that the popular contact center solutions that are out there, and these are just a few examples. Of course, I could have used other logos or more logos, if you will. These are examples for very capable solutions, but actually, in many cases, those solutions prove to be too capable for what the average customer really needs, right? In many cases, we can go, to the average Cisco user or a NICE user, or 5.9 user, and so on, and we find out that they're maybe leveraging 50% of the feature set that is available in these platforms. Okay, so Teams is not enough when it comes to contact center, but at the same time, these platforms are too much in terms of capabilities, and also sometimes too much in terms of cost. And this is exactly where we come into play with Voca. And we call our solution Contact Center Lite. When we say Lite, we mean that we bring the key contact center capabilities in this solution without some bells and whistles that you will find in these premium contact center offerings. And this is coupled with our very own unique edge of built-in conversational AI, which we will talk more about very soon, and we will also see it in action. So this is kind of a bird's eye view of the capabilities that we have in the Voca solution. Now, as you can see, some of these capabilities are in blue, and that means that those are multi-platform capabilities, and some are in purple, meaning those are available for the Teams user only. Now, this goes back to Voca being, part of AudioCodes, right? With all of our rich experience with handling voice networking and voice connectivity, we can bring those capabilities, the multi-platform capabilities, to anything that carries voice, whether it be, an IP PBX, an analog PBX, another contact center sometimes, that we bring a conversational AI service on top of, any kind of UC and so on. We can connect to all these multiple platforms, and this is kind of a unique capability that we have in AudioCodes. And yeah, aside to that, we have the more contact center specific capabilities like skill-based routing, our agent desktop, real-time dashboard, and so on. So let's go through these capabilities real quick before we show you all a live breathing demo of the solution. So first of all, we want to talk about conversational AI, okay? Conversational AI has been around for quite some time, and we all, especially lately with the rise of ChatGPT and all of that, I think a lot of us understand the power of human-to-machine communication over automated natural language. The thing is that still when we call up the average company out there, we still get a DTMF IVR experience, right? The press 1 for that, press 2 for that, press 3 for that. Now, this is a bit crazy if you think about it. I always like to say when I talk with customers, if you think about it, this is the very same experience that we had since the 1990s. And here we are, and it's 2023, and we are still offering the same experience for those calling customers. Why is that the case? Simply because conversational AI is something that you still need to know what you're doing there. You need to understand the technology. You need to be able to integrate it, implement it, to make it really a natural part of your contact center flow. What we did in Voca is we took a pretty radical approach in making the conversational AI or the cognitive services in Microsoft, from Microsoft, completely built in to our solution. Okay, so things like speech to text, natural language understanding, as well as text to speech are all completely pre-integrated into the solution and working completely out of the box from a technical standpoint. Our customers or partners do not need to know anything about conversational AI to use it very quickly as part of the Voca solution. And this we will also see live in action very soon. The main use case that we drive with conversational AI is, of course, the conversational call steering. Now, not only that it's nicer and much more intuitive for a caller to interact with a conversational IVR with a how may I help you experience, there are also some functional advantages to it, okay? The first one being that in a DTMF IVR, we cannot fit in all those tens or sometimes even hundreds of departments in an IVR menu, right? Because we are limited to the 10 digits that we have on the keypad and to the caller's attention to be able to remember the different options that are available. With the conversational interface, we can make all these, tens or hundreds or sometimes even thousands of destinations available directly from the conversational IVR interface. And another functional advantage, because we greet the caller with an open question, the caller is not choosing a destination from a closed set of options. Okay, so the caller tells us what they are looking for rather than us offering them where to get to. And of course, this allows us to bring a caller straight to the most relevant destination, even if it's buried very deep down in the tree. I will also add that our conversational interface is multi-language. It supports 14 languages as of today. All the major languages that you probably expect we support. It supports natural language understanding, so you can talk freely to it. You don't have to talk in a specific way. And also a very unique capability for us in AudioCodes, and this goes back again to our experience with conversational AI, is our ability to support unique terminology. Okay, so if you think about things like people's names, product names, these kind of terms vary between one organization to the other, and you need to train the conversational AI engines to be able to cope with people's names, location names, unique product names, and so on. We definitely have a very rich experience of doing that completely behind the scenes so that our customers do not need to deal with this once or ever. It's us that are doing things like phonemic training, weighted custom models and whatnot behind the scenes to ensure a smooth experience when it comes to leveraging conversational AI for call steering. Then for anything that is beyond just call steering, we have our visual self-service flow designer. Okay, now this flow designer is extremely powerful for two key reasons. One reason is, again, how easy it is to leverage conversational AI as part of a flow in this flow designer. Okay, so it's very easy to add a speech input, and John will show you this very soon live. Very easy to leverage a conversational AI as part of a flow. Again, everything working completely out of the box, no integration needed. But not only that, we also have an HTTP request module or API extensibility, which is kind of our window to the outside world, allowing us to grab information from a database or from a CRM, or even to trigger a Microsoft Power App or a Power Automate flow as part of this flow designer. So definitely we can bring information in from a database or from the CRM and do something with it in the call flow, or vice versa, collect information from the caller and send it out to the CRM or to the database. Another cool part of the flow designer, it's an integral part of the overall solution. So very easy from here to bring a call to a specific contact, a department, a call queue, send it to voicemail, shoot a text message, All of that is available through this Flow Designer, and our customers leverage this Flow Designer for everything from, support incidents, payments, password reset, even looking at someone's caller ID and, doing something specific, routing a call based on the caller ID. All of these kind of self-service flows, very easy to achieve with our visual Flow Designer. Then, of course, we have our own agent desktop application. This is the application that leverages the Power Model. And in the heart of this application is that Azure Communication Services SDK that gives us the Teams interoperability. So a call that is taking place in this application is really a Microsoft Teams call for all reasons involved. And you will see in the demo that this application has everything that you expect from an agent desktop, reason codes, wrap-up events. We even show conversational IVR transcripts. We can, of course, populate CRM, in real-time CRM information that is specific to a call. We allow the caller to choose their caller ID when they place an outbound call. So really everything that you expect from an agent desktop application as part of the Voca solution. Of course, this comes also with a real-time dashboard. To show us, to enable the contact center desk to get a view of real-time statistics, what's going on in a specific queue in this example, or you can also create dashboards that contain two queues or multiple queues in a table format. So yeah, real-time dashboard allowing you to get, you and other business stakeholders to see what's going on right now in the contact center desk. Now, of course, we take a lot of pride in being so tightly integrated to Teams. Of course, as part of that, we also made sure that we have a native Microsoft Teams application. This application is available on the Teams store, and towards the end of this session, Josh will talk about how you can find this application and actually use it already today if you would like. I'm reaching towards the end of my part, but I will also add that very important to add that Voca is also a multi-tenant solution. Okay, so if you are a service provider that is serving, multiple end customers, or if you are just one company that has multiple sites, definitely you can split each of these sites or end customers so that each and every site or customer lives in its own Voca tenant with its own, secured, restricted access for managing the service and also to access reports of this service. So we have a provider admin that can manage all tenants in the environment. And then we have a tenant admin that can manage a specific tenant or specific multiple tenants. Then we also have a tenant analyst that can view report of a specific tenant. Also important to note that the Voca licensing can float on demand between tenants in the multi-tenant environment, allowing you to more effectively leverage, the Voca licenses that you're consuming, and we help you to minimize that consumption, make it as effective as possible. Just to quickly talk about how we deliver Voca, our delivery model. I would say that 90% of our customers consume Voca directly from the AudioCodes cloud, okay? And this is something that we love to do because we roll out features into Voca every few weeks at a very rapid pace. So our cloud customers, not only that they can be up and running in literally a few days, they seamlessly enjoy each and every upgrade that we make to our solution. If we have a customer that needs Voca hosted in their Azure or their virtual machines, this is also something that we can do. As you can see, we go to these different Microsoft services to power up the solution. We leverage the One Voice Operation Center from AudioCodes to monitor the service availability, the uptime, get alarms if there's anything going on, and so on. And of course, we connect this to the voice layer. We can connect to Microsoft Teams in all three methods. And like I said before, talking about multi-platform capabilities, we can also connect to any other platform that carries voice, whether it's an IP analog PBX directly to a service provider, another contact center solution, WebRTC, click-to-call endpoints, and sometimes even directly to a SIP trunk. So that's how we deliver the solution. And right before I finish my part and we move on to the demo, I just wanted to highlight, at least in high level, the structure of our commercial model, right? I want to start with the bottom line and say that our commercial model is not based on the number of agents, and it's not limiting the number of agents in the company. So going back to the early part of today's talk, if we are talking about spreading contact center capabilities to every Teams user in the company, of course, we want to make it easy for you to be able to roll this out to every Teams user in your company that can benefit from something like Voca. So the Voca commercial model is actually based on peak concurrency. Our currency, if you will, is Voca channels. We have two types of channels that can basically empower, very rich landscape of use cases. It can be a conversational auto-attendant, it can be a self-service virtual agent or IVR, and it can be the contact center for Microsoft Teams. In our conversational channel license, we already pre-include the cost for the cognitive services. Again, wanting to make it easy for you to consume natural language understanding and all these services directly from us without having to do any kind of integration work or worry about paying separately to the cognitive service provider. Instead of that, you are just working with us, with AudioCodes, getting everything you need in terms of conversational AI completely out of the box. So in our commercial model, to summarize, you're not limited by the number of tenants. You're not limited by the number of flows that you can create. You can create as many call queues as you'd like. You can connect as many phone numbers as you'd like. And of course, bring in as many users as you would like. With all that being said, that was just a quick kind of preview of the Voca solution. And now I'm going to hand it off to John Wesselman, our contact subject matter expert in North America, to run a live demo of the solution. So over to you, John.
Thank you, Gidi. So I'm going to walk through a few different aspects of the Voca application. First, I'm going to look at the flow designer and show you how easy it is to build a dynamic call flow. Then I'll show you the Voca Worker app, which is the agent desktop tool that every formal agent would use, and we'll place a live call to show you the full example of the call flow that I'm going to demonstrate. So as far as the interface goes, you can see it's a very clean, modern looking interface. When I click on Flow Designer, I'm able to see the call flows that exist in the contact center. And one thing that I like to point out is that it is iterative. So I can have my live published call flow that's functioning as my production environment. But then I can also, let's say I needed to make changes to my call flow, I can create a duplicate version of the call flow in a staged environment, make all the changes that I want, put a test number against it, and make sure that it's functioning exactly how I want it to function before I make it my published version. So it's iterative in that way. It also is a drag and drop type of interface. So as I add modules in, I can position them where I want to position them, connect them to the next element, and truly manage my flow in a visual manner. I also have the 3 dots to configure each element in here. And I'll actually walk through this particular call flow to show you what it does and what it's going to sound like when we handle this call in the demo. So in terms of the modules that exist in this particular element, actually, before I do that, I like to point out that the modules or the widgets in the Flow Designer exist in 3 primary categories. First, you have your interactions, which are going to be the audio inputs that either the caller is going to hear, or the setting a speech listening mode to grab audio from the caller. So tell me what you need, and I can use that audio information to then pass the call to the appropriate path, whether it's routing to an agent or sending it on to a next step. So let's look at this first speech input module. This is a module that is designed to capture speech from the caller. So I'm going to first play a greeting for that caller to say, This is conversational menu. Tell me how I can help you. And then I'm going to capture audio in one of the modes that are designed in here. So essentially these speech input modes help to fine tune or make more efficient the processing of that audio to move on to the next step most efficiently. So if I use free speech, I'm going to capture all of the speech that they say and then process out of that what I need to make a decision. Is there a specific word I'm listening for or phrase, and then pass the call on. And as you can see, there are other modes that are designed to handle alphanumeric data, digits or numerical data, even very specific elements like credit card information. But in this case, I'm capturing free speech. So I've asked them how I can help. They've given me their response. Now I'm going to define in the next element here, conditions, what I'm listening for. So in this particular case, I'm listening for the word ticket. This is a demo environment, so it's very scaled down. But if they say the word ticket, I've got a path for them to go. If they say anything other than anything other than ticket, it will route the default path. So I'll send them to an agent and gather the information that they couldn't give me through the audio tool. But if they say ticket, the next thing I want to do is prompt them for a ticket number. So as I mentioned in the speech input modes, I have numerical or digit-oriented data that I can capture. And when I select that, I can actually specify the number of digits. So I'm making it far easier on the speech engine by saying, listen for 4 digits, no more and no less. So it's just a way to, again, refine the flow of the data through the system. So now once I've captured their 4-digit ticket number, I need to look that information up because I want to acknowledge to the caller, I know who you are, I've got some basic information, and I'll get somebody to help you. I may also do some additional fields with this data, so I'll hold on to that. So the first thing I'm going to do is using this HTTP module. This is the window to the world from Voca. So it allows us to connect using APIs to other applications. Might be a CRM, a ticketing system for a help desk, maybe just a database. We're looking up a piece of information and providing a different piece of information back. We're using that to for routing purposes internally. I know this new piece of information about the caller and I'm going to send it in this direction. So this is what supercharges and makes the call flow incredibly dynamic. So now that I've connected to the data source and I've passed along the ticket number that I have, I want to retrieve additional data. So now I'm going to play back to the caller. First I'm going to play them a series of prompts. So anywhere where you see play prompt, that's a pre-recorded audio prompt where I've used my voice for it. Anywhere where you see text to speech, that's a system voice. So this is where I'm grabbing the field of information from the data source and reading it back to the caller. So this particular flow says, thank you to the caller, and I'm going to acknowledge that I know who you are. So I'm going to go and look in the database using a get statement, part of the API functionality, and I'm going to grab their first name. So basically I'm going to read back using text to speech their first name. Thank you, Jim. The next prompt would be your ticket status is, and then I'm going to grab that ticket status from that same data source. So it will say open, pending, closed, whatever it might be, and then I'm going to tell them I'm transferring them to an agent. But there's some additional information that I want to make sure that ends up with the agent. So this save call info box allows me to determine what I'm going to present to the agent on their agent desktop screen, the Voca Worker app. So from that data source, I'm also going to grab the full customer name, the issue that the ticket is related to, the status of the ticket, the engineer that last handled it, and their last comments from the system. So I'm already populating for that agent in their Voca Worker app a bunch of information about this ticket so that they're equipped with good information to help the customer immediately. I'm also going to present to them the utterances that the caller said when I prompted them, tell me how I can help you, and what is your ticket number? So I can actually display those as speech to text transcription elements. So you'll see that in the display. And then this very last line, this is for the iframe that exists inside of the Voca Worker app where I can actually present the full CRM or ticketing system or other data source that the agents use on a day-to-day basis. In fact, I can present the specific record. So now that I know their ticket number, I can present the actual ticket to this agent right inside of the screen. So they can start making notes or escalating the ticket or whatever they might need to do to that ticket, but they have it right in front of them. So when I move to the Voca Worker app, I will show you this. So in fact, yeah, let's move to the Voca Worker app now. And one of the things that I'll point out here as I'm logging into this, as Gidi mentioned, we're using Microsoft Teams single sign-on to log in. So when I click that, it's prompting me to use my already known Microsoft credentials. I don't have to have a separate login for Voca. And it's going to open up the Voca Worker app. So the Voca Worker app is a dedicated application for your formal agents, the agents that are agents all day long, and giving them the ability to establish their availability state. So once they've logged in, the first thing they're generally going to do is either make themselves ready or select from one of the predefined break codes. And by predefined, I mean they are customizable by you, but you can have a unique set of these codes from a queue by queue basis. So if you want a different set of not ready codes for your IT team than you do for your customer service team, very easy to do. So I'm going to go ahead and put myself into ready. And I'm ready now to take a call in the queue, obviously, when one is presented to me. And you'll notice that the screen is very clean, very empty right now, not cluttered with a bunch of confusing information. But when that call comes in, it's going to have all of the relevant call data. So I'm going to go ahead and place a call in now.
Thank you for calling. This is a conversational menu, so please tell me how I can help you.
I need help with a ticket.
Please tell me your 4-digit ticket number.
1000.
Thank you.
John.
Your ticket status is shown in the system as
Open.
Let me transfer the call to one of our help desk engineers for further assistance.
So the call is routing through the system now and will be presented to me. And when it does, it'll pop up a box in Voca that will indicate that it's coming into the IT queue. So now when I hit answer, I've got the call information that's presented in front of me. I can see that I'm talking on the call, so it does give me a counter so I know how long I've been talking. And then I've got all of that information that I mentioned in the setup screen that's presented to the agent. So the agent, I have the customer's name, the engineer that handled the ticket previously, all of their notes, as well as those transcript elements. So what they said when they were prompted, I need help with a ticket, and the ticket number 1000. You'll also notice that the skills are presented. So I know right away other elements that may have impacted how the call routed to me. One example might be a language skill. So if I see Spanish, I know to start speaking Spanish immediately with that customer. You'll also notice down below, in this particular instance, I'm sharing SharePoint data because I have the ability to connect to that data. But again, this could be a ticketing system, a CRM, and would be tied directly to the record related to what the customer's calling about. It could look up against the ticket number or perhaps their phone number, but it becomes the live data relative to this call. I also have the ability to pop this out to a new tab if I want a little bit more real estate for what I'm showing on the screen. But again, the idea is to have everything at the agent's fingertips that they need to do and need to know about this caller. You'll also notice that there are in-app call control elements because remember, as Gidi mentioned, the audio is actually handled in Teams. So when I answered this call, Teams answered the audio portion. And then I have this application, Voca, tied to my team seat. So any changes that I make inside of the application are going to control that call. So I can put the call on hold. I can do a blind transfer or a consulted transfer. And then I have wrap-up codes. So similar to the not ready codes that I showed at the beginning, I can also set up a unique set of codes on a queue by queue basis that would provide variable wrap-up times based on the type of item that an agent might need to do at the end of a call. So in this particular case, they may need 30 seconds to do ticket work, to add a couple last minute notes before they take the next call. Or maybe they need an extended wrap up. They need a little bit more time. They have to call somebody in billing to find out some data. Or if they have to escalate the call, they may need a few different steps. Contact the agent, line up a time to coordinate with the customer. But the idea here is I can really fine tune and cater the environment to the functions that my agents do all day and every day. So with that, I'm going to end the call and I'm going to show you just a couple more quick elements in here. So I'm logged in not only as an agent, but as a supervisor. So I have additional functionality available to me being a supervisor, and that would come in the way of the team management functionality. So with this tool, I'm able to see all of the agents that are in the queues that I manage, what their current state is, how long they've been in that state, and the ability to change it. So let's say Kelly just came back from lunch, they're talking to their peers and not on the call, not in ready, but I've got calls in queue, maybe I'm short staffed, I need Kelly to be on that phone, so I can force Kelly to ready and push calls in their direction. The second functionality that I have as a supervisor is the ability to do temporary queue reassignments on the fly. So again, I might be short-staffed, I might have a spike in call volumes, but I need to move agents around for whatever reason. So I can select the agent and move them in or out of queues. And this is, again, a temporary reassignment. At the end of this shift, when Kelly would log out, log back in tomorrow, they would just resume their normal queue affiliations. And if I need to make another set of temporary changes, I can use this tool to do it. But if I want to change Kelly permanently to another queue, I would do that from the Voca admin console. The other tool that I like to show that supervisors have at their fingertips is the dashboard. Of course, they have access to a number of reporting tools, but the dashboard is that real-time, most frequently used tool because it's got the real-time data in there. It's actually a mix of real-time fields and some fields for the day. So pending calls and longest waiting, that's going to be indicative of how many calls are currently in queue and how long has the longest call been waiting. But I also have metrics for the day. So how many calls have abandoned today? How many calls have we answered today? What's our average speed to answer? So I've got really valuable metrics right at my fingertips. And the nice thing is this is URL based. So I can share this URL with anybody on my team that needs it. Somebody in management, and my agents, some contact center environments like their agents to be incredibly well informed of all the call activity. Simply share this URL and they've got that information. And then the other piece would be the worker count. So this gives me a real-time look at what my agents are doing, what my head count coverage looks like, how many are talking in inbound calls versus outbound, how many are in an available state versus an unavailable state. And that is reflected here. So I'm the ready agent, and I've got 2 agents that are in a not ready state. So with that, that concludes my presentation. I'm going to kick it back to Josh and let him wrap this up.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. I'll get my screen put up here for you all. So thank you, John. Wonderful job. Wanted to say that was a good look into a live look of Voca. Now, we wanted to offer you a few options on how you can test Voca yourself. We offer a 30-day free trial along with phone numbers provided by AudioCodes for immediate testing. So here on this slide, you'll see there are a few ways to access Voca. First is through signing up via the Voca webpage link that we have added to the Q&A section of this session. Or you can simply search Voca Interaction Center in the Microsoft App Source or Teams Store. But if you liked also what you saw today around Voca and would like to receive more of a one-on-one conversation of how Voca could work for you, feel free to click on that demo link that we also added into the Q&A session, and we'll be happy to schedule a time that works best for you. Or you're welcome to reach out to your AudioCodes representative in your local area and ask about any discovery call or a deep dive into Voca during your time. So also in the Q&A session or section, we left another link there. It is a direct link to a white paper that we released at the end of June. The topic was on how to bring modern contact center capabilities to Microsoft Teams. We dove into great detail around the 3 integration models that we talked about earlier in the slides, but went in even more depth in that white paper for the integration models for Teams CCaaS. This is accessible, free to you, no email required or anything. So thank you for joining us for the session. So we wanted to make that available to you. But yeah, the last piece, just wanted to thank you all for joining us, taking time out of your day, being here live. The last piece on housekeeping, I think I saw a couple questions come in here, but this is a recorded session. These slides will be available to you Any questions that we didn't get to answer, we'll provide in a PDF version for you and a follow-up email that will be sent either later today or tomorrow. But yeah, wanted to thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us live again. We hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.